Go more time. Yeah, but welcome to another episode of Creative Always Be. This episode is called Creative Always Be Traveling and Creating Dope Content. Kieran, a Trinidad native who now resides in Toronto, Canada, is known for creating some dope content. The tour videographer for Sean Pual and currently working with Carid B, he has done music videos for many artists around the world, like Sean Pual, Buju Buton, Baby Cham, Christopher Martin, just to name a few. Let's check out his show reel. Buju Buton. Wagwan Kieran Khan. Where are these?
Shango, Shango, what's going on, my friend?
Where are these, my brother?
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate this.
Yeah, man, we're there at the place, and as usual, we always try to bring some dope content and some dope creative for showcase, yo, you know what I mean? People out there do dope work and stuff like that. And over the years, we've been seeing your work. Even before we met you in person, we've been seeing your work and see the videos them from Sean Pual tour and stuff like that. So right away, we definitely I look upon it and I say, yo, the youth are bad. Bad. So
I
the
appreciate it,
first
man.
thing, the first thing we really want to talk about is how did Kieran Khan get started? Hello? Come like a freeze up, man. Oh, wow.
There you go.
Yes, you come like a freeze. Oh, wow. Oh, I don't know what go on. It come like the Zoom meeting time out. Oh, it in back again. Alright, cool.
Yeah, there you go.
We don't know what go on a while ago, but something go on. I saw it go. In the live world, things happen. So as me say, yo, as me say, yo, brother, tell me a little bit about Kieran Khan and how Kieran Khan basically get started in this music video, content creation type of vibes.
Yeah, well, I initially started off as an event videographer and photographer. That's where I kind of used to get my experience from when it comes to photography and videography. So I was doing like nightclubs, I was doing festivals, artist performance, doing recaps for them. So when they come to town and they perform, kind of do like a wrap up of their performance. And the same thing would go um, for DJs. So during the period of time, I kind of established relationships with promoters. I established relationship with artists. I established relationship with DJs and a lot of prominent people in the business. And this was something that I was doing for years. So it wasn't something that happened overnight for sure. And then fast forward, my first opportunity came with Sean Pual when I met him at a show. And he did not have a videographer at that point in time. And he just gave me an opportunity to kind of shoot a recap. And I believe when I shot that recap for him, I literally went into my car and I started editing right away. And I sent his manager the recap. And it was apparently before they got to the hotel, they received it because they hung around for like 2 hours to edit it. And then when they got to the hotel, they received it because they hung around for like 2 hours to edit it. And then when they got to the hotel, they received it because they
It
hung
a
around for
freeze up
like
again,
2 hours to edit it. And then when they got to the hotel, they received it because they hung around for like 2 hours to edit it. And then when they
It
got
a
to the
freeze up.
hotel, they received
Oh,
it
I go
because
on.
they hung around for like 2 hours to edit it.
Oh, I go on with the thing, you know. I don't know what I go on, but Zoom
I
just
did
see.
the exact same thing there. And a couple of days later on, when it was on my birthday, which is August 4th, I got a phone call saying, "Hey, Sean wants you to come on tour with him as for his world tour." At that point in time, he was doing it in Trinidad.
it seem like we're at one of them night though, whereas the internet or the Zoom just not operate or it's supposed to operate because Kieran just
Like
keep
moves
yeah,
things,
freeze up and stuff.
his likes, his social media.
I don't know what's going
So that's how that came about. And now I'm just doing shows with multiple artists, including Sean, Cardi B, and I do videography for a lot of artists, including a lot of big artists, but also the up and coming artists in Toronto that I'm working with a lot now, because I feel that you should never stifle creativity because somebody might not have the resources to access someone. So a lot of people might look at my clientele or what I'm doing now as some sort of success to the point where I'm not accessible. And I reassure you, I'm more than willing to work with anyone who is ambitious, grinding, and has that talent. The worst thing is to kind of put your time and energy behind someone who just doesn't give a shit about their craft, or or is in it for the wrong reasons. A lot of times you see artists now, and you go on their Instagram page, and their Instagram page look like a more of a celebrity lifestyle or influencer lifestyle than an artist. And they're kind of wondering, is this person really trying to still find themselves, or they're really passionate about what they're doing? They want it for the right reasons, or they don't. And you can kind of gauge stuff like that because I even did a competition recently, and I was giving away a free music video, and the criteria was, just tag an artist that you like, or an artist can tag themselves, and I'll just review the page. And if I see that work ethics is there, the talent is there, I would love to work with you. It wasn't based on, have tagged 3 people or follow me or whatever. It wasn't trying to base on that. It was literally based on connecting with truly passionate creative people. And I found this an artist, and I'm looking forward to seeing if we can work together. So yeah, that's a little bit of gist right there.
on. Yeah, man. As me say, yo, you know what I mean? That's actually a good initiative for your creative. Say, yo, listen, we agree a free video, a creative way, basically have this level of clientele, this level of production, working with Sean Pual, working with Cardi B, and then still willing to give a youth a try who not necessarily have the access to all the funds where, for instance, like a Cardi B or a Sean Pual would, have, and me respect that a lot. You know what I mean? That as a creative see it, whereas you can share your talent with some other people and help build people. But as I say, these people have to have a certain level of basically professionalism, certain level of wanting it. It's not just a man who him just want one music video for get the popularity and get the likes and get the followings. Him have a passionate about him craft and stuff like that. So when we realize by doing the research on you, and as I say, we meet in person in a Canada. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But when we realize by doing the research about you is that in a Trinidad, you have this thing where you call Lime TT. So tell me a little bit about Lime TT. Unmute yourself, Kieran. Unmute yourself.
My bad, my bad. So Lime TT is considered one of the biggest media house for event coverage in Trinidad and Tobago. And I had a nightclub in Trinidad, and how that media house came about was, there's a gentleman which is my business partner. His name is Justin Gosine. He's from Trinidad, and he had this media house. It was 1 year old. I used to use that media house to do a lot of the event coverage at my club. Take photos, or do promos, or do social media promotions for me for my weekly nights or whatever the case may be. And the professionalism that they had was just crazy. Their turnovers were rapid. By the time you wake up in the morning, you're seeing it up on their social media sites. Their photographers and videographers always wore a badge. They always wore their uniform, so people would understand that this is actually a media house and not just somebody slinging a camera just to get in the club free or take pictures of somebody and misuse it. So there was credibility behind the media house that they had. And when I came to Toronto, and when I came back home, I saw that there was a huge lack of proper Caribbean content being showcased because a lot of although we live in such a diverse country, sorry, I'm always coming out of camera. Although we live in such a diverse country, you would notice that the Caribbean community is always looked down upon in a sense, and that's from different perspective. That's from venues, that's from international artists, that's from festivals, that's from all and that's just based on how we're showcased or what the assumption of people might think about us. But we would consume the most, especially when it comes to sponsors. It's like we might have such a huge following on our social medias, but a a sponsor would not even consider that because that's not their target market. But we're consuming the most of it comparison to any other race that might be here, whether it be vodka, whether it be a certain type of food, whether it's going to a venue and you're consuming the majority of alcohol sales that they would ever have. But you'll still be shied upon in terms of what venues we can probably access because they think we might bring a rowdy crowd or it just might not be their clientele that they cater into, which is always the excuse, you know? It's not our target market. Anyhow, so what we were trying to do is we were trying to make sure that we use this media house as a platform to provide proper professional content that we can use as a tunnel vision for people who are looking in from the outside to our culture. So it's making sure that proper pictures are being taken, proper videos are being recapped, and you know things that people might be offended by. Not everything people would understand from the outside. We need to understand that. So although we're catering to our Caribbean community, but we're also trying to make sure that there's some sort of fusion and we're welcoming to other cultures to be a part of our culture. And I think that played a huge role because you started seeing venues opening up to us that was catered to more of let's say a casual or uptown crowd per se. And you saw sponsors now coming on board. You're seeing Caribbean events being sponsored by Belvedere Vodka, Bel Air Champagne, any sort of tequila, any alcohol brand. Now we're being sponsored by because they're seeing what we're bringing to the table, and a lot of that has to do with how we showcase our culture. So that was the point behind Lime TT when we launched over here. And then when I got into Kieran production, I had the manpower, but not everyone is going to be behind your passion like you are. So I felt like I just need to keep it seasonal because we were getting so much bookings that we were not able to keep up with the amount of shows that we had to cover. And I handed it off to a colleague of mine who was working over here, who was in coverage for me for quite some time. But I think it wasn't being executed properly as I would have liked it to be. So therefore, I try to preserve the name by slowing it down and then just catering more to a more seasonal business comparison to every day or every event. And that's where we stand with Lime TT now. But yeah.
So Lime TT, wow, is a big thing.
I can hear you, Shako.
Big thing. Yeah, man. Lime TT is a big thing in Trinidad. I usually have a company in Jamaica basically where I usually do that. You know what I mean? Capture photos, Aishanga photos. So I definitely understand what you say about Lime TT, and I might never do that professional as Lime TT. You know what I mean? The companies now actually I run the place in terms of like event photography and stuff like that would be like sleek and scan in a Jamaica. But me did in the streets and people didn't know me and stuff like that. You know, say, yo, you know, Shango him body the photos, him take photos, you know, the parties and stuff like that. But as I say, like when we meet in Canada, I'm say, yeah, I do the video then for Sean Pual, and I see your work ethics. Because we are talking about me and Kieran dip on the bus. Basically, we are leave from one location. So we are leave from Kushini. What name? Chickeny? What the place name again? Chickeny? Unmute yourself, Kieran. Yeah.
I can't remember. I know we were
Kitchener, whatever it was name.
I know we went to some other small town, but I can't remember that name. But yeah, it's like 6 hours north of Montreal, something like that. Yeah.
One of them, Kitchener or something like that. It name. And me basically
Kitchener.
Yeah. Me basically did it, and we are me did it, we basically just our work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We basically just our work and I do the thing them and we did it and we are trying to make the best of the situation that it is. And you know, me did it for a different local reason. I try to build with me and build and whatever. But it was a good environment. As a creative, you never really show me no bad face and say, yo, the youth here is not like much try to come take me space or anything. You were very welcoming and like me I say, yo, the youth here, a good youth, you know what I mean? And that's the reason why even the other day when you come to Jamaica, we try and keep the link and everything and, you know, meet up and have conversations and stuff like that when you come to do the videos.
I think that needs to happen more, man. Like I think, and that's a good topic that you brought up, is that I've noticed and I've heard it many times where you always have creative people intimidated by each other, when it shouldn't even be that way, you know? Um, and I try to make sure that if somebody feels that way about me, that I approach them and I kind of try to change that mindset by a simple hello, by a simple asking them about their gears, by a simple inviting them to do something, follow them on their social media, compliment about their shit. And that just instantly changes their mindset about who they might think you are. Because there is a lot of bad mind, but I think that only affects you if you welcome it. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people who say things about me behind my back. Um, um, and that's something that we just can't prevent. You know, you can't control people. Not everybody's gonna like you. But I think if you don't operate in that light, that you you know you're gonna always people are gonna see that shit. You know, they're gonna see that shit, and they're gonna be their energy is gonna be drawn towards you. We have that saying in Trinidad way. I don't know if Jamaica is the same, but it's like if your blood doesn't take somebody, like you know, you ever met someone and then you just feel some ways about them. You don't even know them. You never met them before. But you just feels a way about them, and you meet
Yeah,
people
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. That's like a good sign for you to be like, you know what? Let me just keep my distance. But on the same note, not just being judgmental. But I've experienced backlash before where, I mean, I even had people who were working for me. And you can tell because they'll call you and they'll speak to you about another photographer that you have on your roster. And it's not they're not critiquing the person because they did a bad job. You can tell that they're just critiquing this person because they were just not the ones to do it, or they'll just not have anything to good to say because they just probably didn't have that opportunity. So if, for instance, if I send a photographer to cover X artist, whatever artist is X, right, you'll have another photographer call and say, you know, if I was doing it, I would have done this, I would have done that, or why he did that. It's like, what? It's like, you if you have anything bad to say, or if you have like good critiquing is fine, but when you just being negative or when you don't have anything good to say, sometimes it is true, like you should just not say anything at all, because you instantly would change my mind, or you put a very bitter taste in my mouth about you. And I might not want to bring you on opportunities that might arise in the future, simply but about the way you're conducting yourself or the way that you're speaking about others, because you don't even know, you know. So you see that shit a lot, and I think it's very easy for seasonal people who's been in the business to kind of spot bullshit from a distance. And I would always try to recommend try to keep a positive energy, man. It really, really attracts good opportunities your way. And one thing I always say is that you might be good at a craft, but if it doesn't balance out with, let's say, for instance, your personality or your work ethics, or you just as a person, you know, people would overlook your craft and not want to work with you. And I've seen that happen many times where I've heard, you know, that person's good, but yo, he's too difficult to work with. I was watching Director X Live the other day, and he's currently working with some DP that clearly is an amazing DP, or camera operator or project manager, but he's terrible to work with. So I can reassure you, he might not have opportunities again to work with that person simply because of how he's handling business. And that's something that a lot of people don't understand, that there needs to be a balance of everything. So as a creative, if you're going out there and you're not liked by anyone, or you're just creating bad energy all around you, it's gonna come back to bite you. And you just need to either not say anything or just try to practice a positive mindset, man. And that shit is honestly true.
Definitely, definitely, brother, definitely. Because one of the things with me always says that, as I mentioned, energy is very important. Like energy for
Yeah.
me is one of the most important thing, because, as I say, yo, you can definitely, as a creative and as a person who go around other persons, you can definitely feel them energy. You can know if a man, so to speak, a bad minded thing, or I'm not like your
Yeah,
opportunities and
yeah,
stuff like
yeah.
that. You can know, you can feel it, and it's a thing. Whereas when I look upon it, I say, yo, you know what I mean? A person would, for instance, a person would see me do things for like a Usain Bolt and stuff like that, and them supposed to say, you know, Shango this and Shango that and rate 80 and Shango this, and I'm like, you know what I mean? But how me look upon it is that you just need to try and do your best with the opportunities where you get, and then from that you will either blossom
Correct.
into more opportunities, or
Correct.
sometimes some opportunities will leave you, but you'll realize that down the road you get other opportunities. So it's just you have to basically position yourself as a creative most time, and have a good energy. As I say, the energy is very important, because people can read energy. And if a man say, for
Yep.
instance, like me and you, when we did company tour and them stuff there, if me have a certain energy, you would probably say, you know, so that you to Shango, I really to take him still because we just not like him operate, you know what I mean? You know, I come through and make sure you say, yo, bless up everybody and we're ready and we have vibes and anything with me know, me I show you, and that is one of the things when I realize as a creative, I am always willing to share what me know because everything with me know, as somebody on YouTube share it. Me never gonna school if nobody teach me anything. So when we meet a creative like you, we're very talented and everything. When in a little short space of time when me and you link up in a Sean Pual tour and stuff like that, the amount of files we share. I give you a whole heap of files and I say, yo, brother, yo, you can use them stuff here. You can use this, you know what I mean? So
a lot of people won't do that. That's a good example right there. A lot of people won't do that shit. That's very true.
And them thing they, you have to do them thing there. Because all me look pan creatives, even that show you what I have right now, where me I share the space with other creatives and I bring them on and stuff like that, is really for show them say, yo, creative need for share the space. We need for share talent. We need for share, you know what I mean, information with each other so we can get better and grow the industry. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So a man can respect the work and say, yo, them people over here, so I do a certain quality of work. Them people over here, so I do a certain quality of work. So that is what me believe in, and that's the reason why I even come up with this show. Creative always be, you know, creative always be sharing with each other. Creative always be helping out another creative. If I'm seeing in a situation, a whole heap of times when me in the street as a creative, before, you know, I Shango photos become something. Whole heap of people see me, them a drive for them car, them say, oh Shango, well I drive. I'm a jump in a car and a man drop me down the road. And them see me I walk, cause me is a youth where I wouldn't say, oh, me not very materialistic, so to speak. Me only try and get the necessity. So back then when all the people have picked me up and stuff like that, me could have buy a car a long time, but me just never interested. You see what I say? So when me see a man like you know out there do a certain level of work, you work with Carid B and everything and something like that. I'm glad for you. Me not try bad mind your thing. Me I say, yo, I'm glad to see a creative I do your work like that because it's a brother this way me know. So if a brother I know can do it, it possibly mean that even me can do it myself. So at that more you talk about the opportunity working with Carid B and stuff like that.
You're channeling it properly, and that's how you should channel it, you know. But a lot of people don't do it. You're channeling it like, oh shit, like if he did that for sure, I'll you know I can do that, which is sick. You know what I mean? Because that's what you would want to hear. Like you would definitely want to hear that you influence somebody or you motivate somebody to keep grinding it out, or if they felt like giving up, then they'd be like, oh shit, well I know him. The fact like you know when you ever see somebody, I remember the first time I've ever seen somebody that I knew on TV in real life, I was like, oh shit, like I know that person. And it's dope to feel that way now, where it's like you see people that's growing, that's doing stuff on the international level, and you're like, okay, cool, it should motivate you, you know, comparison to you feeling bad mind about it. Because like what is that doing for you, you know what I mean? So I forgot who gave me that saying, but it's like, you know, if you don't know somebody personal, then don't take what they say personal. Like it shouldn't even affect you. It shouldn't even affect the hair on your body. Just keep it moving because you don't even know who they are. They don't know you. They clearly is somebody just speaking out of context or just speaking because they don't like, you know. So just try to ignore that and keep moving. A lot of people don't understand the work that we go in, yo. Like, you know, the fact that I'm seeing what I think you are the first one that I've seen that has done this, the IG live like this, where you can have multiple people. And then when I asked you about it, you're like, Kieran, all this is a quick, just go on YouTube and look it up real quick. And I was like, so the fact that you're just so at it and so productive with getting shit done at the end, then not allowing your the resources that you may have to restrict you. I think I even saw some videos on your Instagram where it might have been your girlfriend or your wife where she's doing classes and you're recording and you're putting it up somewhere. And I was like, Jesus Christ, like, you know, that's work, yo. And I was like, Jesus Christ, like a lot of people ain't gonna think that. They're gonna stay home right now and they're gonna be bitter about seeing why other people are successful or doing things and they're not. You know, idle hands, yo. So a lot of people don't see the work that we put in behind the shit that we're doing, and that's all cool. But um, don't try to compare us or don't try to be angry at us because we're you know we're making some sort of something with our life. You know what I mean? So until you can get on a tour bus for 12 shows and then shoot a show day after day with the same artist perform with the same run of a show with the same dance, the same crowd, and you need to make all those 12 shows look differently, and you need to get those shows in within one day or wrapping those shows up. Like that's a creative that busts a creative mind, yo. You're not talking about traveling, the draining energy that happens. You're not talking about dealing with different personalities on tour, where one person might not get along with you, one person might not get along with this person, and then there's this bad synergy, and you have to just block all that shit out and just work. Like, people don't understand that shit. They just see, oh, um, X, Y, Z, and you're like, man, listen. So you can give people those opportunities, or you can allow them to affect you. But I can reassure you, if you're a creative person and you've been through stuff before, where you've probably been going to a nightclub and shooting for an artist or shooting for an event organizer, and not even get paid, or having to chase people down for money, or like shit like that, and somebody try to badmouth you because they feel that you have a little bit of success. They understand those days, man. So I think anybody who's listening or who's gonna listen to this should always understand that no one opinions matters other than yours. And I think it's proven day to day, because we have social media now, where a lot of stuff is accessible, that a lot of things that you think is not achievable, it's extremely achievable. And if you a great example would be if you're watching that thing with 6ix9ine today, and everybody was, and
Yes,
you know what I mean.
six
Look,
nine's
look at that.
crazy, crazy.
Look at that today. And I was like, regardless if you like the man or not, he went to jail for ratting, which he obviously brought out. But he said, well, these were the reasons why I did it. Anyhow, I'm back out now, and he's broken records once again, meaning that he's broken YouTube. He went on Instagram Live. He did 2 million views, and apparently he came home to plaques, and he came home to a good bit of cash. And you would never think, if somebody told you about this 5, 10 years ago, that would ever be a realistic, about a Mexican guy with colored hair, tattooed all over his face. He's gonna get kidnapped. His girlfriend's gonna sleep with his enemies. He's gonna get locked up in jail, and then he's gonna get released, and he's gonna continuously keep doing numbers. And 6ix9ine is only, as an artist, a year old. As an artist, probably when he was gonna jail, he was only 6 months out. 6 months of music. That's all he put out. Then he came back, and there's like his next track. So that just goes to show, like, you kidding me? So there's hope
It's,
all
re-
around when you're watching.
it's really just putting in the work, because as I mentioned a while ago, a lot of people don't know the amount of work we put in when we go up on these travel jobs. So for instance, like traveling with, for instance, when I travel with Romy and Virgo, or I travel with Chris
Yeah.
Martin, like to Africa and stuff like that, and yeah, work day in day out for try to put out content, to make sure so the content reach online the next day, the next morning the content out, and people don't know that sometimes you have to go in the room, and while everybody else asleep, you not asleep. Like remember 2018 or 2019 Trinidad,
Mm.
every day after the event, I go into the room, organize the content, and make sure say, yo, there's a video out on the 18
Oh
page
yeah,
for
and you
them
wouldn't even do it
every
one
day.
minute. You
And
would do
a lot
longer
of
than
people
one
don't
minute.
even know. So they say the amount of work we are putting, and the the energy, the effort we have to put in basically creating the content. Them don't necessarily
Yeah.
even understand the value of where you put in, you know what I mean? And a man see you I do the work, and as I say, you're them a bad mind, and personally, like as I say, if a man know you personally, or really and truly, even if a man know you personally, his opinion is really his opinion. You know what I mean? It's his,
Correct.
because
Agreed. Agreed.
at the end of the
Agreed.
day, if him says something about you, that is not who you are basically. Because technically, based on your work and your work ethics, and your work can speak for itself. Even this way me I do right now. Me I promote it and stuff like that, but for the most part, oftentimes the quality me I use to push the work. Most people will reach out to me, them not reach out to me because me I promote it. Them I reach out to me because them I look on them Instagram, and them say, yo, we in a Instagram the two of we are talk, and you can be small and me be big, and I can press a button, and now you big and me small. So when them look on them level of quality there, you know, me press the next button, and me alone up on the screen. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
bring you
Yeah.
back on. So when them see them level, you know what I mean, energy and what we are do online, them like, oh, you know, so that you do something different. And at that, the people them a reach out to me. Me never sit down on my yard and I worry about COVID. Me have a product where me been working on for 3 years, and me basically still continue to work on it inside of COVID, and basically I turn it into a more remote live setting, which is what we basically do right now. So I am never focusing on the next man. Like we dip on social media, we see all the people them who have some level of success in the business, but I am never yet focusing on the next man. Me now look on Kieran Khan success and I say, yo, you know, so me should have Kieran Khan success. No, me I look on Kieran Khan success and see it as a motivation. And I say, oh shoot, You know, so I could have success like Kieran can if I focus on doing what me need to do. And a lot of people just see a next man's success and basically just focus on the man's success and not focus on what them to do in order to become successful.
Correct, correct. You you like, I don't know how tough it is as a creative in Jamaica when it comes to probably because a lot of people I know as creatives, whether it be a videographer or photographer, a dream job of theirs is to obviously work with an artist that they can travel with and tour with, right? And I always tell people that, so they always say, yo, how could I probably get one of those jobs? How could I probably get that? Now, it's relationship building a lot that has to go into it too. I mean, mine wasn't in the case where, thankfully enough, I just had somebody who was able to vouch me, which was power. So even Steve Urchin, who is Sean Pual's manager, when he was on my Instagram live, he was speaking about it. I was like, well, it's lucky that I got that. He's like, in all honesty, he said, if you were a videographer that just walked up to me and just said, hey, you probably would have gotten a chance to shoot because we needed a videographer at that point in time. But when it comes to a point where we're going to have somebody in our personal settings, like for weeks upon weeks touring, you don't want to just take a random person with you. You want to have some sort of a relationship or have somebody vouch for you that's like, no, this person understands, he's professional, he carries himself, this is what he's probably done before. So you also, and it goes back to that as well. Like you can probably be a person that's good at your craft, but if you're not a personable person, then you're shooting yourself so early in the foot. And you don't have to be a bubbly person or somebody that gets along, but you just need to be a person who's willing to collaborate. Because at the end of the day, as a creative, that's what we do. We collaborate. If you're a video director, the first thing that you're gonna try to figure out is what's the vision of the artist, and then you're gonna try to enhance that by some ideas that you have. If you're on tour with people and you're working, and they said, "Hey, you need to get this done," you can't be closed-minded and be like, "No, I think this is how we should do it." So, a lot of people need to kind of work on building up their craft, working on themselves if they're in that kind of state of mind where they're bitter about what the industry is doing to them and why they're just not getting an opportunity. Because it's really like we're in a really good position right now where I'm lucky to have the opportunities that I have. I don't know Cardi B prior to ever working with her. I've never met her before. I've never known anyone from my team other than Tanisha Scott. And the reference for me for Cardi was Tanisha Scott. So that's just another reference. It's just, okay, Kieran Khan is a perfect person because he's worked with artists before. He understands travel. He's extremely welcoming to work with and he gets it. And that's, I believe, having that synergy and that energy going around is why I might be able to just work with other people. Word of mouth in the creative industry is a very, very big thing. When it came to the Buju Buton stuff, the Buju Buton project um, came out of Baby Sham, which came from Copper Shot. Copper Shot called me. I was like, yo, Baby Sham, he wants to shoot a video, and he recommended me to shoot a video in Toronto. Boom, shot the video in Toronto. Literally about 2 weeks later, Baby Sham called me and said, hey, I'm going to have Dave Kelly call you in regards to Buju Buton video. I was like, what? And it's just word of mouth. That's all that came up. Do bear in mind that all of these artists, Sean Pual, Buju Buton, Baby Sham, Christopher Martin, whoever else I may have worked with, I can reassure you they have access to unlimited content creators, whether it be photographers or videographers. And at some point in time, like I said before, it all goes down to how easily you're able to work with, execute stuff, and collaborate. And a lot of people need to understand that. You can't just be grinding all day and trying to figure out your craft. You have to put time into in developing these relationships. It's not something that comes overnight. And I believe that's like something that I want people to understand. It's try to find a balance.
Yeah, man, relationship building is very, very important. Is even something that even with my new company, UBQT Studios, it is one of the things. Whereas me, collaborate with various people because I know that building relationship. Like for instance, my conference that I put on the other day, the New Normal Digital Conference, is basically me trying to foster some relationships between me and some other, what I mean, creatives and some other um, individual in the space who actually do stuff. So me basically come up with a conference and I reach out to these people. Some of them I reach out to in person when COVID never did exist, and reach out to them and talk to them and say, when we do a conference, I realize a whole heap of female conference are going on Jamaica. So where are the male conference? Why the males them now come together and collaborate and sharpen each other saw and make sure so everybody dip on a certain level and everybody can enjoy the spoils of success, so to speak. And it's one thing when me always I try to you know what I mean, collaborate with people and, you know what I mean, put people on, so to speak, and make people know, say, yo, it's possible. So when we go start reach out to the people, the man, we put together the conference, reach out to a couple of people, talk to some other people, then put me on to some people to get a couple of sponsors. I do work with Sleek, so I could get Sleek on the sponsorship. Me supposed to do some work with Observer. Me get Observer on the sponsorship. Me actually do a show similar to this what we're doing with the girl who do the hosting, Debbie Bassoon. And basically I asked her, I said, yo, you have a show me I gotta do. Can you host it? She like, yes. 100% that me have a host beard. So it's really a lot of relationship type of vibes. You have to be faster in a lot of relationships when you're trying to create, you know what I mean, a business, create content, so to speak. So as I say, yo, most of your work that you have done is because of word of mouth. A man tell one man say, yo, you know, so that you the bad and stuff like that. I would say probably even working my opportunity that I got with even Usain Bolt was basically because I went to Trinidad in 2014, spent my own money. I spent probably like about 3,000-4,000 US go Trinidad. I'm there at Trinidad, I'm say Usain Bolt. I say, yo, we know Usain Bolt because we are run up and down in Jamaica. I do 1 and 2 content and stuff like that. I just start shoot. So I just start shoot for them. The man never say, yo, Shango come shoot. But I start shoot some content and put out a video and the man say, yo, we like it. And then 2 years later, the man them link me and say, yo, Shango forward. Get private jet
2 years after, right?
Yeah, 2 years after. And then,
you know what I mean?
one of the next thing is that 2 years after them link me as a forward, and even before that, I did give them the content for the video, and it ended up coming in the I am Bolt, I am Bolt or I am Legend. I don't remember the show. Yeah, the documentary, and me never even get the credit for the content. And some people that jump at the man and I say, yo, oh no, give me the credit, and you know what I mean, I rate it here, I just relax. You know what I mean? I had some thoughts about that and stuff like that, but I did kind of relax and I say, yo, you know, I saw them think they go sometime, and then a year later the man them link me. I get some opportunity and I get to go train with them and stuff like that. Even though now them kind of have somebody else I go with them, even the youth to them ever go with them, when them give me the opportunity and stuff like that, me, you know what I mean, them link me up and say, yo, you know what I mean, I go and me say, yo, brother, yeah, it not gonna be easy, because a lot of people see being out there, putting out content daily as easy. As me say, when me go out of the room, me not go sleep after we come off of the road 2-3 party. When me go in the room, Kieran, you know, because you dey on tour. When me say in a tour bus and me asleep and you basically at work at the same time, we go in the room, load off all the content and start work instant. So by the time me wake up in the morning, me have even a draft where me can send to the people, them and say, yo, all this thing, and them say, yo, fix this and change this and rotate it. So a lot of people see we are do the craft, see we are do certain things and things like easy, brother. It's not easy for travel with artists and work with people and put out content daily, and if you put out different style of content every time. So them see it but them don't know. You know what I mean, Kieran?
Yeah,
them just don't know.
I agree.
Them just don't know.
I agree. Yeah. So it's our duty to kind of like when people message me, I try to answer as much question as possible, and I definitely try to link people as much as I can. But like you said, relationship building that we've done and contacts that we've made over this period of time, in essence, that's also currency. You know what I mean? Because if somebody says, hey, I've been trying to get in contact with Sean Pual for quite some time, and I make that barrier between two of them very achievable, a phone call or whatever, right? A lot of times too, we need to protect um, our connections, because although, and that's a conversation I had literally yesterday, and it was a question. He's like, should we really be giving out our contacts like that, or should we protect them? And I said, it's a very debatable subject, because at the end of the day, there's no point with holding back connections, because if I put somebody on, I reassure you that's just another person I have in a position of some sort of power or leverage that I have, that I can utilize sometime later on. It's building that person up. It's somebody that I have a part of my team or affiliated with that's constantly growing. But on the same note, if that's given to the wrong person, that's a bridge that's also burned down, that I can never get back over again. You know what I mean? So it was a huge debate the other day where we're like, we're building these relationships, and we're trying to figure out how to utilize them as much as possible, because I'm always in a space of mind where it's like, um, when you meet somebody as a creative, you're always figuring out collaborative ways to enhance your relationship with this individual. You know what I mean? trying to figure out, okay, what could we probably do together, you know, or who could I probably put you in contact with, or whatever the case. That's just the way been brought up. That's just the way I've surrounded myself with people, and it was just, I know kind of straight off topic there, but I think it was like a point I was trying to bring up, which is basically,
No, no,
although,
man, brother. There's no,
yeah,
there's topics, but it's just a conversation. So once you bring up
perfect.
something,
Okay, good.
we can lead the
Okay,
conversation down there. There's no topic. So
yeah,
just
we'll
vibe
get,
and talk, and wherever your mind take you,
we'll get,
let
we'll
us
get.
talk about it.
So it was a huge debate, and it was, I know on a few occasions I definitely try to link people with projects, and those bridges have been burnt. But I think we need to be protective of the relationship that we've nurtured for such a long time, because the references, they do count, and they go a long way. And if it's given to the wrong person who's not ready, but because we're quote unquote humble enough to just pass that along, because a friend might be calling and be like, hey, do you know anybody associated with Complex Magazine? Or do you know anybody who has this gear that I can probably get it from, or whatever? And we're like, yeah, yeah, call that person, tell them I said da da da, whatever the case may be. It's always helping them. They might not even be in a position where they're gonna appreciate what you're doing for them, because they just don't know. You know what I mean? They just don't even know the work, the end work that goes into building that relationship. You know what I mean? Um, so I think we
Definitely
need
them
to,
don't
as
know.
creative community, we need to be very cautious of who we're involving ourselves with, because it can affect our name very, very bad. And if we put in this time and effort, the worst thing is to have somebody come in and screw up a relationship so quickly. A good example would be, let's say for instance, you invite that uncle, that one uncle, to backstage for an artist that you're working with, and he just go on this rampage and he start embarrassing the hell out of you. That's like a relationship right now that puts a stain on you. You know what I mean? It's like, what the fuck? It's like, yo,
Yeah,
what are
you
you
know what I
doing,
mean?
yo?
Yeah.
Like, you know. So I mean, that's a reference in terms of a personal one, but that can also be applied to somebody. If I say, yo, I can't, let's say for instance, my something, I have to stay home and I can't travel anymore, and I need a videographer to go on tour. Okay, cool. Shango, I can recommend Shango to Sean, and then Shango goes on tour with Sean, and then Sean is like, yo, okay, what the fuck? This guy, he takes like 3 days to turn over these videos. You didn't talk to him about what, like, you know, what the
Yeah.
procedure is, or blah blah. Like, you know, you need to vet people. You need to make sure that whoever it is that you're recommending for whatever it is that they're asking for, that they're going to be using it for a proper purpose, and not just some quick thought, you know, or burning bridges for you.
Yeah, man. But sometimes, as I say, Kieran, is a lot of persons don't understand the energy. Sometimes even the persons that you're creating the content for don't necessarily understand your work ethics and the energy where you put in. So they might even ask somebody else to do it, and then they realize that the person not deliver, and I'm like, so oh Kieran do it, or oh Shanga do it, and then they realize, say, yo, it's because of your work ethics, or even how you go about creating the content, and how you organize the content in your mind when you are shooting. So you don't necessarily have to overshoot. So you don't necessarily have to go in the room, look through 500 content. So a man might see and I say, yo, shoot this, shoot that, shoot this, shoot that. And yeah, I say, no, I don't some shoot. Me shoot
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
specifically to what I want to do. Me can't shoot everything.
Correct,
Me can't go in the room
correct,
with 500
correct.
content. It don't make no sense. So I'm going to do with 500 content. I'm going to take 3 days for the content reach now. But if I'm going there with 10 pieces of content when I know, say, yo, that me I going to use, it make me can turn over the content faster. So a lot of
Yeah,
people don't even know that. Even as videographer, one of the worst thing you really can do to yourself as a videographer, especially when you're on a tour, travel with the artist, back-to-back shows, is overshoot. Even you always said that to me, Shango, why you shoot with so much camera sometime? Why not just reduce it to one camera and try and get the shots them? You know what I mean?
yeah,
But sometimes because I want to have a 360 camera, I want to have this, I want to have that. Me kind of have
yeah. You'll
multiple
be
camera, but
strapped up, yo.
it's still sometimes straining. It's still sometimes draining for you as a creative. You know what I mean? So it's a thing where you have to
You're gonna be
basically,
strapped up,
you know what I
yo.
mean? Sometimes I see you with your one camera, like, yo, man, sometimes I want to go to one camera. But no, for the most
Yeah,
part,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's one camera I use most of the time. And I reduce even how I shoot, you know what I mean? So I shoot specific to what I want to edit.
Correct,
And it reduces the
correct,
amount of
correct,
time
correct.
you spend edit. So if you have, as I say, if you have 500 pieces of content, you're going out of the room, you have 500 things to look at. Even though you are shooting. But if you have 10 pieces of content and you know specifically where you're going to do what the end result is, then you spend less time editing an hour.
Yeah,
In an hour and
yeah,
you can
yeah.
put it out. Send it to the person, draft, boom bang, it work done. So that is
Yeah,
where a
if
lot of
you
people
should,
don't understand
yeah,
that.
Yeah, shoot with intent. Shoot based on what you're going to be editing. I mean, don't just shoot everything, because you even have some artists like that. They're like, "Yo, why are you getting this? Why are you?" And you'll be like, "But that's not even going to be a part of what I'm doing." They'll be like, "Well, it's just to archive it so you can use it later on." Well, okay, well, yeah, I could do that too. So it's been a little understanding, but at the same point in time, it's like shoot with intent, shoot with what you're actually going to be at. If I'm doing a recap, there's no reason I need to be shooting anything else other than what's relevant to that performance or what's enhancing that show. I should not be doing a whole bunch of B-roll around the city and all kind of crazy shit when it doesn't even play a role in it. And here's another thing, right? It's knowing
You know what I mean?
it's knowing your worth when it comes to who you are as a creative and what you're bringing to the table. And this is a wicked ass story because I don't know who the person is, but I would love to meet this person someday and kind of speak to him. I was upset when it happened, but I was more upset about the person because I don't think he understood his worth. And this is the scenario. I got a phone call from this label and they said, "Hey Kieran, we have this video that we would like you to do, and our budget is 7,500 bucks, right? 7,500 US." I said, "Okay, cool, wicked, no problem, we can get that done." They said, "We just need you to turn it over within a week or something like that." I said, "Okay, cool, that's easy." So I got started on it. The day, and I started as I started on it. I got a phone call like later on in the evening, and the person from the label said, "Hey, Kieran, did you get started on that video yet?" And I said, "Yeah." They said, "Okay, would you mind just stopping that because we're actually gonna put a hold on it because we got somebody else to do it at an extremely good cost." And I said, "Uh-huh." In my head, I could care less what the cost is at that point in time. You brought forward the budget, and in all honesty, it was not even a big budget for what they were asking for. This was a budget below what it would usually go for. And in my head, I'm just like, well, what the hell would this person even be charging if it's below this already? And the comparison product that they wanted, the cheapest that they were gonna get it for was probably double that price of 7,500, which was 15,000, right? And the do you know what this specific person was charging to do this video, which is mind baffling to me, even as somebody who might not even be fully experienced. This individual, whomever it may be, charged 500 US dollars.
That is ridiculous. And these are the things where it doesn't help the industry, so to speak, because what he really can do with $500, what you really can do with 500 US, really, especially if you have to put in a whole heap of work. So sometimes it's ridiculous what the persons them want to charge and what am I gonna do in terms of what are you gonna do for the $500?
Well,
You know what I
correct.
mean?
So this was the conversation after, right? So I was like, I got pissed off with the label because I was like, I already started this. And anyhow, long story short, I said, let me ask you a question. What do you think you're gonna be getting for that exactly, right? What is it that you're gonna get for that 500 bucks, right? And they said, we know we're not gonna be getting the same quality, but at the end of the day, it's a significant difference. And I said, I agree. But you're not speaking about somebody who is you're not speaking about a label that's not gonna make back that money within a couple of days from YouTube views, right? So the fact that they were penny pinching so much on that product, I was like, what? Anyhow, fast forward a couple of months later on from there, the label rep called me and said the artist is extremely unhappy with the video and they would like you to do another version of it. And anyhow, we put the video out now, and they paid the price that we initially would have agreed upon.
So you never
So it's
whoa. You tell me, so you never upcharge him? Cause me the
no,
upcharge
I
him, you
never
know.
did.
I would have tell them,
No,
say,
I
alright,
never.
you
Well,
know, it's now 10,000. Because what the reason why I'm not tell them 10,000, when I have my start something and then shelf it for a while and then now come back to me. So when I could have saved myself
well,
all of that.
so yes and no. So the reason why I didn't is because they gave me two videos to do.
Okay.
Which which kind of but on the same note, it's a label that I work with continuously, which was shocking to me as to why they would have went down that route. And I was like, but okay, cool. But it's I mean, it's like for these huge labels out here to be penny pinching like that for creatives, and I'm like, and I was surprised with the call, but I was like more surprised at the person who charged that 500 bucks because I was telling them I was like, I would love for you to introduce me to that person because I would like to teach him some like give him some knowledge. I said, dog, you charge $500 for this product when the person next to like the person was gonna another person was gonna get I don't even know how much times that is, but 7,500 US. That just shows the significant difference of your pricing or the lack of knowledge of knowing what your worth is, right? Because I was just like, oh man, I would like to just sit down with this guy, just have a conversation with him about it. But they're not gonna tell me who that is.
Brother, as, as,
But
as
yeah,
usual, as usual, it's always great having conversation. Every time we link up, every time we see you,
same
whether
here, man.
whether we link
Same here.
up on a tour, whether I see you you come to Jamaica and you have some projects for doing and we sit down and all a reason. It's always a pleasure reason with you because you always drop some knowledge. You always make me understand even a little bit more because I don't necessarily work with the caliber artists that you work with in terms of like the budget where them artists they have and stuff like that. I work with Usain Bolt, which is a big budget, but me I talk about artists where you travel the world with. You know what I mean? It's mainly just Trinidad I go with Usain Bolt. Me I talk about Dubai all over the place with an artist and you always give me gem like sometimes I need some advice and you may reach out to as it relate to them thing there and it's always a pleasure, brother. Always a pleasure.
Appreciate that, man, for
Always a
sure.
pleasure. And
I appreciate
you
it.
know what I mean? We are run out of time, so it's
Yeah,
almost time for Instagram kick we off. But as usual,
yeah,
as me say, this show is to basically give knowledge to the creative them, make them understand. Say, yo, listen, creatives have value. As a creative, it's a valuable position you have, and you need to understand. Say, yo, you need not to undervalue yourself. And make brands or individuals or corporation take advantage of you and try to give you some little bit of money because them somebody because them can afford it. Most of the time, them people just try
correct.
to cut the money. So them have a budget of 7,500, but them want leave 7,000 off it and only give a
Yeah,
500. You know what I mean? Like that is ridiculous, and that is the reason why they weren't pleased with the work with them get because it ended up becoming ridiculous. But as I say, brother, it's always a pleasure. We're like 4 minutes out,
same
and
here, man. And you like,
brother,
yeah, and I think you need to also understand is like a lot of li- like the major directors are not really what somebody would consider competition because it's like they're predictable. They already been there, done that, right? The ones with the creative minds are individuals like yourself, who's out here doing like coming up with some wicked ass concept and having to push those boundaries because we're considered the underdogs. So like stuff like this that you're doing, I can reassure you, there's people that's always looking in from the outside, and whether they're stealing these ideas from you or not, they're getting knowledge from it. But it's people like you who's constantly innovating shit because we have to always stay on top of them. Because at the end of the day, we need to bring more to the table because we don't have a name. You know what I mean? So I
yeah, man.
reassure you, just keep doing exactly this shit, dog, and pushing them limits because you do some wicked stuff, and I'm extremely impressed with these sort of productions that you've been doing lately. And I told you I'm gonna try to make that link and see what happens. But you've been doing a wicked job with these stuff, yo.
Yeah, man. Respect, brother. We are gonna go say boom and drop the outro now. So everybody, we're
All right.
listening time. Bless up Kieran Khan. Give respect for coming through and everything. And we'll run the outro.